notice how God turns everything we rank as important, he turns it on its head? Yeah. He takes power and wealth and good looks and success, turns it right upside down. I don't know about you, but I find that very good news indeed. Somebody clap over there. God doesn't pick the self-made man or the self-made woman, the natural successes, those who have pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps. You see, they may be wonderful people, but there's nothing in their lives that points them to their need for God. I love what Damien was saying about how good it is to fall down. I do it every week. I don't know why. Our Bible, like the other big book, is a gospel of imperfection. God chooses people in the program or people who need the program. God chooses people who have thought they were in control of everything or tried to be, only to find that their lives had become unmanageable. I shouldn't say they, I should say our lives had become unmanageable. That the only thing that would and could possibly save them was turning it all over to a power much greater than ourselves. If we are lucky to know this, most of us have to learn it from time to time again. Why? Because when things start going really well, we forget why it is they started to go really well in the first place. We forget to lean heavily on God, to rely on God. Maybe that is why God created us so imperfect. It's the only way God could be assured that we would be open to the life-giving relationship. Or as Leonard Cohen says, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Maybe we need to keep screwing up so that we can keep remembering. In case this doesn't ring a bell for you, think of somebody that has incredible hubris or arrogance. Can you think of anyone? Not anyone in the room, please. Think, for example, of Jesse Ventura. Is it too soon to talk about Jesse Ventura? Great guy and all, and if you don't know who he was a pro wrestler before he became governor of this fine state. But at one point in his tenure as governor, he got himself in pretty hot water because he said, organized religion is a sham and a crutch for weak-minded people who need strength in numbers. This got him in trouble with a lot of people, not least of which was his wife, who was a very faithful and devout Catholic. And maybe religion is for the weak-minded people. And maybe that's a terrific thing. Maybe we should be celebrating our weaknesses more than we do. Celebrate our character defects. Celebrate our mistakes. Celebrate falling down. If they lead us to God, I would say it's well worth it. What do you think of when you think of your biggest weakness? In a number of interviews over the years, I've been asked that question. Tell us, what's your biggest strength? And then tell us, what's your biggest weakness? Which of those is harder for you to come up with? I have an easy answer, because I said, what's your biggest strength? I'm sensitive. What's your biggest weakness? I'm sensitive. In our country, talking about weakness is not popular. Let me share an example of this. I've been in ministry for about 178 years. And I have always used the Prepare inventory for premarital and couple counseling. It's a great inventory put out from the U of M. And it's a computerized test that looks at many parts of relationship to see how compatible people are. I've seen the world change, and as the world changed, so too the inventory has changed. Some of those questions fell away. They were a little too dated. Do you believe a woman's place is always in the home? I remember that one, but it's not there anymore. In the old days, the categories used to be ranked from greatest strengths to greatest weaknesses. You would have, it went greatest strength, possible weakness, and greatest weakness. And so as you started working with couples, you'd say, why don't you guess what your 5 strongest areas were and what your 5 weakest areas were? Always start with the strongest, because that's the stuff that's working. That's why we're together. That's what's going well. At any rate, a funny thing happened on the way to the 21st century. All weakness disappeared. They replaced weakness with growth areas. We no longer had strengths and weaknesses. We had strengths and growth areas. Isn't that marvelous? Well, maybe not. But who wants weaknesses? Do we really say, I wish I had been born an alcoholic? On the other hand, if this is the crack in your soul that let the light of God in, you might find yourself saying, I'm a grateful alcoholic, a grateful recovering alcoholic. If your weakness continues to cause you extreme pain, remember, we have this God who loves the cracks and is just waiting to be invited in. You heard Damon. He gave a sermon earlier today. Let me close with a story one of you shared with me this week. She began her share with Psalm 31. I have become like broken pottery. And then she told this story. A water bearer in India had 2 large pots. One hung on each end of a pole, which she carried across her back. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water at the end of the long walk from the stream to the mistress's house. The cracked pot only arrived half full. For a full 2 years this went on daily, with the bearer delivering only 1.5 pots of water to the house. The perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect to the end to which it had been made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection, and miserable that it was able to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer and said, I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you. Why? Asked the water bearer. What are you ashamed of? I have only been able to deliver half my load because the crack in my side causes the water to leak out all the way back to your mistress's house. Because of my flaws, you have had to do all this work, and you don't get the full value from your efforts. The water bearer felt sorry for the old cracked pot, and in her compassion she said, as we return to the house today, I want you to notice the flowers along the path. Indeed, as they went up the hill, the old cracked pot took notice of the sun warming all the beautiful flowers, but still felt bad and again apologized for its failure. The water bearer said, did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other side? I have always known about your flaw. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walked back from the stream, you watered them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers for my mistress's table. Moral of the story? We are all cracked pots. And no telling how God might